Congratulations to Expedition 33. It sweeped everything. It won everything, just as everybody predicted it would. Inevitably, that did make the award part of this show a lot more predictable because it won a fuck ton. It won 9 awards. And I think it's pretty well deserved. I don't know. I'm not finished with the game yet myself, sure, but everything I've played of it so far is fucking phenomenal. And I have faith it's gonna be a great game all the way through, just based on everything I've heard and based on what I've seen so far. And I do think it's cool that this game won Game of the Year and took home as much gold as it did. Um, well deserved. I do think it's a little weird that Silent Hill F lost Best Audio Design to Battlefield 6. I mean, I don't know, man. How good can guns and tanks sound for it to beat out Silent Hill F when it comes to audio design? A little crazy. I think that's the one award this game probably should have won this year. Because even Best Narrative went to Expedition 33. And it's like, honestly, yeah, even the story in that game is so unique, so different. If it were any other year, Silent Hill F, to me, would have been Best Narrative. But Expedition 33, man. Just the opening premise of that game alone, just the elevator pitch is so fucking good. Yeah. So, the awards were cool. No complaints there, really. However, when it comes to the big reveals, all the highlights this year, I'm not gonna lie, compared to last year where we had shocking reveals like Onimusha coming back, Okami coming back, a new freaking game from Team Ico being made, and all this other crazy shit. There was a lot of like big, interesting reveals last year. I thought maybe it's just me. I don't know. I still get excited for stuff, and even this year, I mean, it can't be crazy every year because games take time to make, and sometimes companies just don't have anything to show. So, like, you know, when people tell me, oh, this year was crap, oh, this Game Awards sucked, thanks a lot, Jeff Keighley. It's like, look, leave Jeff alone. He's a good guy, all right? The Game Awards may have their ups and downs and even their problems every year, but, like, he's a passionate guy. He actually does care about the game industry. And I think he throws a pretty good show lately. I think that the Game Awards have come a long freaking way in how it presents itself. Even if there's still times where I cringe, some of the stuff it pulls can make me cringe sometimes. Some of the categories that they made up for these awards can be silly, but overall, it can't be, when it comes to reveals, when it comes to new announcements and stuff, the E3 side of this Game Awards show, because it is practically half award show, half E3. It can't always be amazing. There's not always going to be enough companies ready to show cool shit. So, like, you can't blame Jeff for that. You can't blame anybody for that. It's like, what, you know, it's just not how the game industry works. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, even indie games can take a long time to make. Sometimes they just have nothing to show. But we still had reveals, and there is stuff to talk about. And, for example, we had Gang of Dragon, I think, is one that stands out. It's notable because it's apparently, I had to learn about this after the fact because I kind of forgot who this Nagoshi guy is. The original creator of the Yakuza series. You'll have to forgive me for forgetting that name because there have been about 500 Yakuza games since the Yakuza series started, and after a while it's easy to forget that there ever was a creator because it just feels like Yakuza was always around after a certain point. I kind of forget when this series was new. It's been around so fucking long and there's been so many of them. But don't get me wrong, I do like the Yakuza games. I'm just a little burnt out on them at this point. I've played so many of them, and most of them are the same. And even the ones that tried to shake things up with Yakuza 7 and its turn-based combat didn't quite click with me. So it just, you know, a little burnt out. Project Century looks cool, and I thought, okay, I figured the same Yakuza people were involved with that, because isn't that like the new Yakuza series that's going to be coming out, like the successor? And apparently not. Although it's being made by the same company, a lot of the original members who worked on the Yakuza games, including Nagoshi, moved on, left the studio, formed a new studio, and he's making this new game that looks like another Yakuza game, actually. So, I mean, I don't know. And it doesn't help that the trailer we got aside from the main character looking like a fat, pudgy Japanese version of Tony Soprano, I didn't get the sense that this was some bold new take on Yakuza. There's a Yakuza thug-looking guy as the main character. He's doing Yakuza shit. I mean, he is shooting guns at one point, and we see a car, so I don't know if this is heading in like a GTA direction, like Yakuza meets Grand Theft Auto or something, but from what we've seen in the trailer, there was no real gameplay. There was nothing to really latch onto like there was with Project Century. And again, I'm not writing the game off entirely just because the first trailer doesn't have any of that. I'm just saying, based on this one trailer, I'm not that hyped. I'm going to be real. Like, yeah, I get it. He's the creator of Yakuza. Maybe this will be a big, ambitious game that is very different from other Yakuza games. But if we're just going by this reveal trailer, it's like, okay, it just looks like a clip from a Yakuza film. I don't know. It's just tough thug Yakuza guy doing tough thug shit. And I did not get any like chills, or I wasn't hyped. I wasn't going, oh shit. I was just like, this looks like another Yakuza game. Cool title, but like this just looks like more Yakuza, and I'm pretty fucking burnt out on Yakuza by now. At least Project Century, like I said, had gameplay, it had combat that looked neat. It was like, okay, it's doing stuff that is different. Yeah, and we saw a lot of gameplay footage, so it's like, I'm a little more excited for that. I didn't even play the pirate one. I didn't play the the one in Hawaii. I didn't play the Kiryu spinoff where the man who erased his name, because again, I'm so burnt out on these fucking games. They release them one after another, and you can't keep up with them because they're all really, really long, and it takes forever to finish one, and by the time you're halfway through one of them, 3 more will come out. It's like, it's become like ridiculous. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe Gang of Dragon will be good. So we also got new Tomb Raider footage for what looks like a remake or a remake / reboot. I don't know. We see a lot of like locations and things mentioned that look like it's a callback to the original game. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this, although it's way too early to know for sure, and I'm still very skeptical about like the people behind this. I do think that this looks better than the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It looks like this version of Lara Croft, the way she speaks, the way she looks, like a lot of things about this version of Lara Croft looks like classic Lara Croft. Acts like a classic Lara Croft. Hopefully it has none of the shitty writing that like made her such a pathetic character in the last couple of games. And I don't know, it looks all right, I guess. I mean, we saw what looked like some gameplay footage, and it does look kind of cool. But again, I worry about modern Tomb Raider games just because they always fall into the trap of being too much like an Uncharted game. It just happens to star a female. And yeah, I feel like I don't know if Tomb Raider is ever going to be able to be modernized without losing the charm, the weird charm that like the original Eidos games had. I don't know. It's debatable. Still sort of interesting, but I'm still very iffy and on the fence about this new Tomb Raider as well. So there's that. And speaking of being on the fence, I was not the biggest fan of most of Remedy's output since the first 2 Max Payne games, but they showed off a trailer for Control Revenant, or Resonant, whatever the hell that title was, something with an R. That does not look like just a straight up Control 2. Now, I didn't finish Control. I tried it. I do think it was a better video game than Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake was, I don't know, just kind of pretentious crap with really shitty gameplay. Maybe a couple interesting moments, but Control was interesting, but I kind of got bored of it, and I did not finish that game. Even though the action shooting combat was kind of neat at times, and the brutalist architecture building you were running around was kind of neat. Like, it had some cool ideas, but again, I haven't played a Remedy game since Max Payne 2 that I actually liked. It's been a long freaking time since that company's done anything I care about. But Control Resonant, the sequel to Control, actually looks like it takes the weird, like surreal stuff from the first game and turns the combat into like Devil May Cry. That kind of looks interesting. I mean, I've never seen Remedy do an action game before, like a character action game. And that's an interesting blend. And the footage they showed off, the gameplay they showed off, looked kind of dope. I'm not going to lie. So I'm intrigued. Again, it's been a long time since anything I played from Remedy really won me over 100%, but we'll see. That one looked kind of interesting. And then there's a new Mega Man coming out. Kinda looks a little too similar to Mega Man 11, if I'm being completely honest. This would be bigger news to me because I do love Mega Man. I've mentioned that before on this channel. And I don't know, man. I kind of miss the days when they were more innovative with this character and this franchise. I miss when Capcom was willing to experiment more with Mega Man because we've had like the Legends games were awesome, the X games were awesome. They did a lot of like weird, interesting things with the franchise for a while there, like in the 90s and early 2000s. And it just seems like every time we get a new Mega Man now, Capcom is just like, let's go back to classic retro Mega Man. And it's like, yeah, it's like it's cute, it's cool. Like I'm not saying Mega Man, it's not even numbered this time. It's called Mega Man Dual Override. So I don't know what that's about. We saw a teeny weeny bit of gameplay, and from what I could tell, despite the fancy subtitle, it really just looks like Mega Man 12. Like it just looks like another classic style Mega Man game. He's got the same cutesy design. It's got the same colorful retro aesthetics. I mean, graphically, maybe it looks a bit shinier, a little more impressive than Mega Man 11. But overall, it's just, yeah, it just looks like more classic Mega Man, honestly. Which, I mean, we have enough of that, don't we? We have enough old school Mega Man style games. Can we do something new with this character? Or just hurry up and release that Legends bundle already, Capcom. For fuck's sake, I would have been more excited for that than a new Mega Man game at this point. Just do it already. You released bundles and collections for every other Mega Man thing imaginable, even the weird ones that nobody played. So just hurry up already. Anyway, that's the only, like, big new thing we got from Capcom at this show. But honestly, after a new Onimusha and Okami last year, I guess they were out of announcements for big IP. The good news is we did see more of Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem, and I called it, guys. I freaking called it. I told you all. I told you that Leon would show up in the game. I predicted it. I made a video months ago where I was thinking it over, and I was like, you know what? If they do bring back a legacy character from Resident Evil's past, it should be Leon. It should be. And I kept saying, it's going to be Leon. I bet you it's going to be Leon. And that video was a response to everybody getting very salty with Capcom because Capcom was trolling everybody and saying, oh, we can't have Leon in this one. He's too much of a badass for this game to be scary. And it's like, I'm telling you now, they're trolling everybody. He's going to be in the game because what other legacy character would they bring back at this point? Who would be more fitting for this particular game? And I started making predictions, and I had a feeling that it was gonna be the Game Awards that we saw his reveal. And surely enough, that's exactly what we got. It was a whole trailer just dedicated to Leon's place in the story. What I didn't completely predict, though, was how he was gonna show up. I knew, like, what his place in the story would be. I knew he was just gonna show up as an older, middle-aged Leon helping Grace. And he, like, everything in the cutscenes in the trailer was like, yep, that's exactly how I thought he was going to look, how this was going to feel. But then we get some gameplay of Leon, and yes, he will be playable, but he's like doing RE4 stuff. He's doing roundhouse kicks. He can use melee weapons now. At one point, he's holding an axe. At another point, he takes a chainsaw from an enemy and is actually using it against them. I'm like, okay, that's fucking cool. So it is going to be 2 playable characters, and apparently, according to Jeff, Grace will have her own RE2 style like survival horror gameplay where it's, slow, methodical, conserving ammunition, not being a badass, sneaking around, sometimes being stalked by a monster or whatever. And then when you switch over to Leon, it's going to be balls to the walls, like freaking RE4 style action, where he's doing all the crazy stuff and the melee weapons and attacks, and it looks great. Like, it's basically a true spiritual successor to RE4, finally, that does all that stuff. So, like, I love the idea, and according to Jeff, like, the way he worded it, obviously we don't know for sure yet. It wasn't, like, officially confirmed by him. I don't know if it's confirmed anywhere else, but it sounds to me like maybe, possibly, these are going to be two separate campaigns. And what I'm hoping is you'll have one campaign with Grace's side of the story, one with Leon's side of the story, and maybe they'll bring back the A-B scenarios from RE2. I really hope it's like that. I really hope it is, where one scenario affects the other, and having two different characters be playable, but not only two different campaigns, but like two very different styles of survival horror gameplay, you know? Bringing together that old school Resident Evil style that's scarier and creepier, combining it with the more action heavy stuff with Leon's campaign. I really like this idea. And I'm hoping that's what we get, I think that would be more interesting than just switching back and forth between them in one campaign. So it'll be interesting to see what that actually develops into. But yeah, what we saw of that trailer, it looked great. It was everything I was hoping for. Maybe a little predictable, especially since the Leon thing was apparently leaked a couple of weeks earlier, but it's fine. It's fine. Still a cool trailer, still a cool reveal. So everything looks really, those reveals were all pretty interesting, but there was nothing like crazy this year, and that's fine. Maybe next year, maybe State of Play, maybe Summer Games Fest. We will see, but overall, not a bad show this year. I didn't have a bad time watching the Game Awards this year. And these reveals, thought it was worth having a little discussion about. But what do you guys think in the comments? Are you excited for any of these? Is there anything I left out that you're more excited for? Personally, I thought most of everything else was just a bunch of fucking co-op games. I swear to God, everything's a freaking co-op game now. Everything's a fucking co-op game. Either co-op games, or there's that Divinity thing being made by Larian. Not for me, but again, let me know in the comments, guys. Were there any other reveals you were excited for? Are you excited for anything I mentioned? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, you get to burning and live for the passion.